The user can now see the exact center of their map by looking at the pin that we've placed. That means that whenever they're dragging around, they'll know exactly where they're getting their weather data for. In addition, we also have a very solid idea of the current latitude and longitude of the very center of the map. So that means all we need to do now is figure out a way to retrieve the weather for the very center. We're going to do this by using an open API called openweathermap.org. I'm going to flip over to my browser really quick, open a new tab, and then go to openweathermap.org. So this is really a fantastic service. They provide free, totally up-to-date, current weather data for cities all over the world. And there's a couple different ways you can interact with it. You can give them a city, an address, or in our case, a longitude or latitude, exactly what we want. So on the home page, at the very top is a link that says API. We're going to go there, and you can see that there's a couple different APIs that they have available. We have a weather forecast, a daily forecast, historical data, just about everything you could possibly imagine. In our instance, what we really care about is the current weather data. So we're going to click More. We can get current weather data by city name, city ID, or for us, geographic coordinates. This particular API right here takes a latitude and longitude and returns some data about the weather at that specific location. So let's look at the response that you get back from this API call that, this is a sampler request that they have right here. Let's look at the data that they get back. The response contains a chord property, which just returns the longitude and latitude. We kind of already know what we've got, so that's not quite useful. It has a sys, which is, sunrise, sunset, the country. Sunrise and sunset are millisecond values. We have the weather, Maine. Well, you can read through all of this. I think you know what's going on here. Most importantly, we have Maine, and Maine contains temp. Temp is the current temperature, and no, don't worry, that's not in Fahrenheit or Celsius, that's in Kelvin. So if you remember back to your chemistry or physics days, Kelvin is just a different temperature scale as opposed to Celsius or Fahrenheit, which means that when we retrieve this temperature, we're going to have to do just a little bit of conversion to convert it over to Fahrenheit. We're going to be displaying our data in Fahrenheit, but if you choose to do Celsius, you certainly can as well. This also contains a description property underneath weather. So weather is an array, and the first object inside of it has description, and that shows, very short description about the current weather. In this case, overcast clouds. We could also see partly cloudy or no clouds or sunny or, any variation thereof. So there's one last thing we need to do. This looks like a fantastic response. It has all the data that we need. Last thing we need to do here is sign up for an actual API key. So I'm going to go back to the API page, and at the very top, you'll see to access the API, you need to sign up for an API key if you are on a free or paid plan. So in our case, we're going to be on the free plan here. There's some restrictions around the paid plan depending on how often you make requests, but we'll certainly be underneath that limit. So we can just go with the free option for now. I'm going to open up the API key link in a new tab, and directions here are pretty straightforward. You'll see how to get an API key. All we have to do is sign up, and then how to use it. This is also very, very important. As you can see here, they give us an example of an API request that's signed with an API key. Whenever we make an API request, we need to provide this property app ID. It needs to be equal to our API key. So every single GET request that we send to this API is going to need to be signed with our API key. So let's go ahead and sign up. Just going to click the link. I already have an account, as you may guess here. Just go ahead and go through the sign up. I don't think that it even makes you verify your email, so it's pretty straightforward. Once you're signed up, on your setup page, you'll find your API key, and it's about 32 characters long. You can double click it to select it and then just copy it. Pretty straightforward. We're not going to use the API key just yet. We're going to use it about 2 sections from now. So I recommend you either copy paste this and put it on Notepad or something, not a physical notepad, but notes or what have you, and just hold it around. Or alternatively, just bookmark this page. Basically just make sure you can get back to this API key here. Okay, so now that we have a better idea of the data source that we're working with, the question now really becomes, how in the world do we make a request from our application, right? So let's talk about that in the next section.